Shh. You're watching OTN, the Obscure Truth Network.
Government police exercise a monopoly over the legitimate use of force. And because of that monopoly, they're disconnected from market signals like the need to make a profit or to provide good customer service. And because of that isolation from those basic market signals, that monopoly power is oftentimes abused. Here is yet another sad example.
Something recently I just watched on CNN about some troopers or highway patrol or something down south chasing suspects with their cruisers and then purposely hitting them with their cruisers on foot. The guy's running and they got it on camera and they're kind of happy about it. And when you do stupid stuff like that.
If they were market-based, you're going to have those market forces in there that are correcting people who are taking actions like that.
That guy was wanted.
Which guy?
Oh, the guy that was driving the pickup truck. There's something weird about him.
He was wanted or is wanted?
He's either wanted or he's got a suspended license or something. Probably.
How'd you see that?
Just because as soon as he saw me, he's holding his hand up so that I can't recognize his face. Kind of cute. But, yeah, I don't know about that necessarily, but I think a lot of these problems are generated from within a particular agency, like a disease from within, if you will. If there's an atmosphere of tolerance for that kind of stuff, we have had our issues in the past. There have been people who, in the past, before my time, were noted for roughing people up, things like that. I'd like to say, in general, in the law enforcement community, and certainly, in my opinion, in New Hampshire, and definitely in Keene, at least in the last several years, there's been a big movement from within our organizations to turn this thing from a job into a profession. And in order to do that, people need to act like professionals and not act like jackbooted thugs, as I'm called fairly often. But more than your appreciation, though, because I'm not looking for appreciation, is just the civility.
Yeah.
You know what? These guys that are calling me a Nazi, do they even understand? Do they even understand what happened back then? I mean, I could give you the keys to my station. I guarantee you, I don't have dead people back there. I don't.
Keene 158, no answer. I left a message.
I'm not rounding everybody up, sending them to concentration camps. These guys throw the word around so lightly. In my entire career, I have only hit one person with my baton, and he really needed it. So the guy was throwing 100-pound grates at cars. And then wanted to fight us about it. The sewer drains.
Right.
Those things, big sewer drains. He's just pulling them out of the.
Was he just
it's over on Court Street?
Crazy or drunk or
A little of both.
cracked out?
A little of both. But was absolutely not listening to reason, and we reasoned him to death. And then finally, after one more sewer grate thrown in a car. One of my guys sprayed him, and that had no effect on him. So I smacked him in the shin with the nightstick twice, and he didn't even say "ow." I didn't even get an "ow" out of it, boy. Which I'm not looking for an "ow," but I'm looking for it to stop the problem, and it didn't stop the problem.
So one of the problems that we've observed on the police departments is the issue of sadistic cops, which you referenced, and the most probable cause of that problem is the monopoly system, because there is only one protection organization. They have control over everything, and they have real power, and so as a result of that power is seductive to those who seek it, like a sadist. Someone who loves the idea of hurting people and being able to get away with it, being able to do it under the color of law. as it is. And so what you'll see happen is that essentially sadists are attracted to the policing profession, and many of them will rise through the ranks to the point where the sadists are actually in charge of the organization. And that's, I think, where you see the police departments who, when a lower level sadist, one of the newer cops on the street, gets caught red-handed doing something awful, like the Eugene Seiler situation in Tennessee, for instance, where those guys actually did end up going to court, but there have been others where cops have gotten away with murder, and you see the thin blue line, so to speak, closing around its ranks, and the department protecting its own to the point where an obviously guilty cop is protected by his superiors, and it really clues you in that, you know, there's something going on there that's different than what might be happening here in Keene. And if people could leave, if they could go across town, then the monopoly, no longer a monopoly, would then be competitive, and they would have to shape up, or they would lose those customers. And if they didn't kick the sadists off their squad, they'd lose them quite fast. You'd asked about how to get from here to there. Right. Be one way to shift would be to have some entrepreneur who's willing to take the risk create an alternate market-based protection service. How would it work? How would it play out? I have no idea.
The conversation naturally shifted into what can be done to curb this kind of behavior, and when we come back, we'll get into the complaint process.